This is my first visit, Mr. Nadar, to the complex here. So I've heard a lot about it. And I must say that just driving through this complex, I can imagine the magnitude of activity that really goes on here. But your company has taken the initiative to institutionalize the mechanism of its corporate social responsibility is yet another first. Conventionally, corporate philanthropy was lesser known in India. Not that there was no philanthropy, there was. It was based out of a community feeling, at times out of religiosity, at times out of other social groups, other enlightened citizens who thought it was a responsibility to give back. And therefore, I recollect a few years ago when the whole idea of CSR was born in India, it was not free from doubt. There were many in the corporate world who felt that was this an additional tax which was being imposed. And therefore, there was some resistance to the very idea. Introduced in 2013, its implementation really started in 2014, and I must say that looking back the last 2-3 years, it's begun well. It's begun well because in the very initial years, in the government, we did calculate that to start off the width of the whole CSR, if adequately implemented, in its very first year should have been to the tune of about 14,000 crores. Obviously, the entire amount was not invested. There was a lack of understanding, a lack of consciousness about this. But as years are moving ahead, I think it's an idea which is working well. Of course, a strict discipline has to be enforced that the expenditure cannot be camouflaged in as much as corporates start supporting their own corporate proposals on this strength. And therefore, there has to be an arm's length distance where it is spent. And I must compliment HCL for having institutionalized that mechanism of maintaining that arm's length distance, going into the larger society, creating an independent jury, looking at the areas which each year you would support, and then asking those members of the jury to select the very best so that they can act as a role model for others involved in this structure itself. India's rural areas, the sector that you have prioritized for the NGOs to work in to be eligible for this distinction and honor, still continues to lag behind. It's only now, 2018, that we have targeted that every village in India should be electrified. 2 years ago, we assessed that there were 18,000 villages still to be electrified. And now almost at a very rapid pace, those remote villages are being selected. And I do believe that we'll be able to meet that target. We are still at a very initial stage in that rural development. Rural roads, an idea which was born a few years ago. It's only towards 2019 we believe that with additional grants coming exclusively from the government, the village would have a regular road connectivity. Still a little distance in our priority programs as far as rural sanitation is concerned, rural housing is concerned. And then, of course, the crying need also is irrigation, plus other areas by which we eventually want to supplement their incomes, poultry, cattle, milk, by which the eventual objective is that we double their incomes of those living in the rural areas. With its limited resources, it may not even be possible for the government to entirely achieve this on its own. There are alternate models of helping them which have been advocated, but that's only an agenda on the table itself. And it's here that civil society has a very powerful and an important role to play. And now that there is, through the CSR mechanism, an institutionalized process by which some resources have to be spent. I think you've done well in going into the larger countryside, selecting those people who have been already working in different areas of either education, environment, or health in these areas. It's obvious that most of them who work in this field really don't work for recognition. They are unidentified faces. They are marginal people who, out of their commitment, want to make an impact and make a difference. I'm quite certain that all the people who came here to be recognized and honored today, none of them really ever realized when they started this activity that they would be ever due for a recognition or an honor this time. I saw a very pleasant difference where a power shift from the conventional power in Lithians Delhi took place, where at least 10 such people were recognized this year on the Republic Day with national awards. These are all people who'd done an extremely good work, but were never a part of the power structure or close to that power structure in Lithians Delhi, and hence never received a recognition. I do hope that this change which is coming about, where you've taken a great lead in recognizing them, effectively assisting them, and therefore enabling them to discharge what they will be able to discharge, will go a great step forward. My congratulations and my deep regards for all those who are working in this field, and particularly those who've been honored today. And I'm sure with the kind of institutional mechanism that HCL and you have set up, other corporates would also be inspired to follow or replicate models of this kind, which would recognize many others working in this field. Thank you very much once again.
मोदी साहब यहाँ पर एक गरीब कुटुंब से आते हुए भी इस देश के प्रधानमंत्री बने, इसका क्रेडिट किसको जाता है? तो डेमोक्रेसी को जिंदा रखने वाले कांग्रेस पार्टी को जाता है।